So today, I'm going to give you a bit of perspective. I'm going to keep it all the way real. So here's the good, the bad, and the ugly of starting your own business consulting firm.
CPTV, you an entrepreneur, I got what you need.
Hey there, my loves. Welcome back to CPTV. I'm CP, of course, and this channel is the place for aspiring and growing entrepreneurs who want to turn their passions into businesses and those businesses into 6- and 7-figure empires of freedom. Does that sound like you? Then you have found a home. So go ahead and subscribe and click that bell so you don't miss any of the golden nuggets that I give to people every single Tuesday. And of course, if you like it, prove it. Put your money where your mouth is and smash that like button. And you can ask me anything about your entrepreneurial journey in the comments below, and I will try to answer. Deal? Deal. So if you are a specialist in a certain field and you determine that you want to help out other businesses or nonprofit organizations, then starting a business consulting firm may be just the move that you are looking for. Consultants have an ongoing demand from startups, nonprofits, and large corporations alike. And the field is booming, whether it's in marketing, communications, business plan writing, process development, doing stuff for other people that you're an expert in, operations, nonprofit development, or HR. Expert in these and other areas can lead you to being very, very lucrative and having a very lucrative career in business consulting. But it ain't all sunshines, rainbows, and unicorns, boo. Being a consultant comes with all kinds of stuff. Good, bad, and ugly stuff. I would know. I've been doing consulting since 1997.
You act like I just got a minute. Been the number one diva in this game for a minute.
You heard her, all right? And I've definitely experienced all of it. So today, I'm going to give you a bit of perspective. I'm going to keep it all the way real. So here's the good, the bad, and the ugly of starting your own business consulting firm. So let's get to work. So I want to start with the good news because I always like the good news first. Here are the best things about having your own consulting firm. You first have to look at the unlimited potential opportunities and the money. I absolutely have loved growing into all the opportunities and experiences that I've had as a consultant over the years. And the money is pretty freaking amazing, especially as you grow into your level of expertise and your skills. The opportunities that come up and the different experiences that I have definitely been an amazing, amazing piece of choosing to be a consultant. And for me, consulting is really about being able to use a skill that comes naturally to me or a level of expertise that I have and use it to help someone else and have an impact. So that piece about being a consultant is definitely a good. Another good is the freedom and flexibility of having your own business. Gosh, I can tell you that in my mind, when I first started my businesses a few years ago, well, actually a lot of years ago now, one of the things that I craved was freedom of my schedule and flexibility of my schedule. And at that time, it was really around being able to do what I wanted to do because I love to travel. I love to experience new things. I knew that I had a family and needed to be available to my children. But now, as I've gotten older and kind of transitioned through different phases of life, specifically being in a position where I care for both my parents and my children, I can tell you that freedom and flexibility is so truly real. There are so many things that I am required to participate in. And I know that if I had a regular old corporate job where I needed to file FMLA or request PTO or get someone's permission to be off of work, I probably would have lost that job a long time ago. I mean, between picking up kids from here and dropping them off there and showing up for random meetings meetings in the middle of the day that the school seems to think is an appropriate time, even though most people don't have the freedom and flexibility I have, because I have wondered that and actually said that out loud. Like, how they scheduling a meeting at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? How's the average person who goes to work able to go? But luckily for me, I am able to go. I am able to do the donuts with parents. I am able to do the drop off and pick up to a certain degree. And I am able to actually be there to care for both my parents and my children. So the freedom and flexibility that comes along with being on my own and being my own consultant and having my own business is absolutely a positive. And if I had to rank it, I would tell you it's something that I would never, ever, 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 ever want to give up. Another good in being a consultant and having my own consulting business is being valued as an expert. And when I say that, I mean, I have had stints in corporate America. My first couple businesses were side hustles for me, and I started them and did them on the side, which means I worked full time for other people. And there was always this missing piece for me where I felt that my expertise or skills or what I knew just wasn't valued. It was always kind of me proving to someone else that my idea was a good one. And because of that, I always felt that entrepreneurship was the route for me. Being a consultant takes it to the next level because people are actually paying me for that expertise and for that skill. It does bring a different amount of stress and pressure, which I'll talk about later on in some of the bad and ugly sections. But just being valued as an expert, being valued as someone who knows what to do and someone who can provide someone else with solutions really brings a sense of pride and confidence and just appreciation to my life. Because I do know that there are folks out there that have a high level of expertise and skill, and they just aren't heard enough by their current environments, whether it's a corporate environment, their boss, or whatever. And if you currently have a side hustle and your dream is to take that to the next level and have your own consulting business, I would venture to say that you probably feel the same way, that all that skill and expertise that you have just isn't valued by someone else. And a piece of that driving factor to getting you to want to be your own business owner is the idea that someone will finally value what you have to say and actually implement some of your ideas. Another good, I would say, to having my own consulting business is being able to use my skills and natural abilities to make money. When you are a consultant and when you are your own business owner, everybody actually out there has their own thing that they're really good at, right? It's your skill. It's a natural ability. It kind of comes naturally to you. And being an expert in that allows me to use that natural skill, those things that just come easy to me, the way that my brain just kind of works, and sell that intellectual property. Ideally, I'm selling my natural abilities and providing them as services and expertise to others. And I'm able to charge a pretty penny for it. So it actually makes me feel really good to know that my God-given talents and my God-given abilities and skills and the blessings that I've been provided are actually going to be able to make some money for me and create a legacy and be monetized. Another good is that I get to meet new people, have new partnerships, and make connections all the time. I am definitely, and you've heard me say this before, an introverted extrovert. I love people. I love picking people's brains. I love understanding where people are coming from. I love breaking down people's thought processes to help get a better understanding and tolerance for them. And being a consultant and having my own consulting business really pushes that forward even more. I am constantly in situations and environments where I am meeting new, different people all the time. It really gives me a chance to embrace differences, to not be judgmental, and to understand that everybody comes from a different place and is going in a different direction, and everybody's opinions and what they feel and what they value needs to be respected. So the simple fact that I'm in the role that I'm in and that I have the business that I have allows me to be very, very open-minded and to be able to attract new people into my life that actually help me grow and bring, positivity into my energy and into my my space. So my everyday job actually embraces what I love most. And that's understanding new minds, meeting new interesting people, hearing new perspectives and new viewpoints, and then ultimately being able to help people achieve their own levels of success, which helps me ultimately meet my why. So another good with starting my own consulting business from scratch is, you are the boss of you. And that is worth its weight in gold. I am my own boss. I answer to myself. I reap my own rewards. I suffer my own consequences. I am not busting my behind every single day building someone else's dream. It's scary to be your own boss. It's scary and sometimes stressful and sometimes frustrating to be in a situation where you have to always make the decisions and you have to pray and hope and just, pray sometimes that the decisions that you're making are good ones. But it's also very exhilarating to know that, my future is really in my own hands. And despite, all of that scary is so much amazing. So that's a big one. That's a really, 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 really big one as to why it's a good to start your own consulting firm and to be your own consultant. Now, let's talk about the bad, all right? The bad. I'm about to keep it all the way real and give y'all some of my own, experiences and expertise in this area. The first thing I would probably say that can be perceived as a bad is that you have to look good in many, many hats because you will be wearing a lot of them. When you start your own consulting business and you begin to venture out into this path of consulting, you will wear every single hat, which is very different than what you may have experienced in the past when you were actually working in corporate America. It just depends upon what you were doing. But most of the time, there was someone over here who handled marketing, and there was someone over here who handled IT, and there was someone over here who handled, payroll, or who handled finance, or who handled operations. And you only had to do your job. Maybe your job was a couple of different hats, but you only had to do your job. You didn't have to be a specialist in all of those areas. When you start your own consulting business and you are out there on your own and you're doing it from scratch, especially, you will be all of those people. You'll be the CEO. You'll be the CMO. You'll be the COO. You'll be the CFO. You'll be the person who cleans the bathrooms. You'll be the person who picks up the paper. You'll be the person who makes the coffee. So that is a bad because you are wearing so many hats. And some of those hats you're not an expert in, you don't have experience in, and you have to figure out how to wear that hat. And that's a part of the reason why I love what I do, working with entrepreneurs and helping them figure out, what those hats are. But I would definitely say that's up there on the bad list. Another bad that I have a lot of experience in is that you will have family and friends who think you don't work.
Tommy, what? Everybody in the audience knows damn well you ain't got no job, man.
Y'all, that is so frustrating. The fact that you can control your own schedule doesn't mean that you aren't working all the time. And especially when you're in business for yourself, people take that for granted. Not just your parents, because I know in the very beginning, my mom was infamous for taking that for granted. Like, oh, well, I can just call you all day long. I mean, to this day, I can just call you all day long. If something hits me in my head and I got a question, I'm just going to call you. Or even your kids who just feel like, hey, I get out of school early because it's President's Day. Can you take me to the rec center? Can you take me over to my friend's house? It's like I have a job. And it's different when I was growing up because my mom had to punch a clock in order to go to work. And if I attempted to call her being a nurse on her floor and have her paged, I could have lost my life if she got a page, if it wasn't like a life or death situation. I knew you can't call your mama, she at work. But my friends and my family totally take that for granted and realize, oh, she's got, a flexible schedule. So I can just call her all hours of the day. And the reality is, no, I am busy. I am booked. I am usually in meetings, and I've literally had to learn the art of training people that a work day for me is just like a work day for anybody else, and it needs to have limited interruptions. Another bad in this journey of starting a consulting business and becoming a consultant is that you will have family and friends that will not support you. You'll have people who think you're absolutely crazy for starting your own business. You'll have people who will ask you every other day, so when you gonna get a real job? That little phrase right there, when you gonna get a real job, is enough to drive me to want to put hands on somebody, y'all.
Not me, 'cause I throw hands.
But it's something that you just have to overcome. You have to ignore, and you can't let it get you down. I learned very early on in my business journey that there are certain people in my life that I could share the trials and tribulations of being an entrepreneur with, because those people weren't going to take those trials and tribulations and say, I told you so. I told you you need to go work for somebody else. And those were the only people that I shared those trials and tribulations with. Everybody else got the positives, got the, it's great, it's going good, or the one-word answers, because I knew very clearly that I did not need anybody to bring me down. And so you will have people in your life that are not going to support you along this journey. Hopefully that is not your spouse, because it gets real tricky when it involves the person that you're married to. Or hopefully it is not your children, because it gets real tricky when it involves people in your day-to-day life. But you have to understand that those people will exist. There are haters no matter who you are, where you go, and you got to brush them off and just kind of keep it moving, because that journey towards success is yours and yours alone. And those very people who may have doubted you in the very beginning, when you get to that level of entrepreneurial freedom, they're going to want to be the first ones on that ride with you. Another bad, I would probably say, is it will take time to gain traction. Being an entrepreneur, starting your own consulting business, even just going out there and doing freelance consulting takes time. It takes time to gain traction. It takes time to build a brand. It takes time to market yourself as an expert. Expertise isn't something that people automatically give you. You know, degrees don't automatically make you an expert. A master's degree, a bachelor's degree, a PhD does not automatically make you an expert. You know, experience, a combination of a number of different things contribute to that expertise. And that takes time. Experience in itself takes time. And so you have to have an unsurmountable amount of patience. And that is something that I have always struggled with. I mean, I am probably one of the most impatient people that you will ever meet. I don't even give myself enough time to open up a pickle jar. I give it like 5 seconds. If I can't open it, I'm calling my husband or my sons to grab this pickle jar. So it was a very big bad for me. It may not be a bad for you, but for me, it was a bad to allow for that time and to give myself that time to make those mistakes and realize that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and you have to focus on that light in order to get through that tunnel and know that you will get to a point where you are generating that revenue and you do have that freedom and flexibility. But in the beginning, you have to know and keep telling yourself, I'm almost there, because you will eventually get there. Another thing on the list of bads is that you are always on. That is exhausting. When I say you're always on, I mean you're always on, especially when you choose to be a consultant. Because when you are a consultant, you have a brand, you have a reputation that means everything to your business and your livelihood. You also have a certain level of expectation in folks that you are an expert in whatever it is that you do. So you could just be out enjoying yourself leisurely with your friends trying to have a drink, and you've got to be on. Because you are your own business owner and you're a consultant, networking, meeting new people, talking about pain points, solving problems, providing solutions is just a basic part of what you do and who you are. And so you are constantly in that mode. It is very difficult to completely leave it alone. Over the years, I have learned that I don't like to talk about my work when I'm in a fun environment or when I'm hanging out with my friends, because that is my one opportunity to not be on. And sometimes I'll still meet people out and think this is a great networking opportunity, so I got to turn it back on again. But always being on, being professional, being a solutions person, you know, having this brand or this reputation that you have to create being a consultant in order to be perceived as this expert, in order for people to hire you, in order for you to make money, is exhausting. So I would definitely say that is probably on the bads. You don't really have an opportunity to completely remove yourself from what you do on a daily basis. Now it is time to talk about the ugly. And the ugly is a real true keep it real moment. So One major ugly that you need to recognize is that you will be broke in the beginning. You will be broke. I was broke, y'all. I mean, broke. I did not even really prepare myself well enough for the brokenness, because business came in spurts. I wasn't established enough. I was still building. I was still building a brand. I was still building a reputation. I was still marketing and still getting clients. So they weren't consistent, because I was also learning how to deliver my services. I was also kind of creating processes at the same time to make it more professional. Because when you're a consultant, you are an expert. People expect their experience with you to be very expert and to be very professional. And so I was broke. I mean, I was used to coming from corporate, making a specific salary. And then I also had a lot of side jobs on the side. And then I went off on my own and was also having business expenses, had to pay for my own things, computers and equipment. And, not a whole lot when you're a consultant, which is also a good, I probably should have mentioned, but I had expenses. And so not 100% of what I was making was my own to make. It was stressful. And my income had changed significantly. So allow yourself to understand that you are going to be broke in the beginning. You're going to have to be good at budgeting. You need to make a lot of sacrifices. There were things I was used to getting done that I didn't get done anymore, but it will eventually go away. And eventually my contracts increased. I was in the 5 figures and then I reached 6 figures and I was making more money than I'd ever made before in my life working for anybody else. So you will get there, but in the beginning, you're going to be broke. you just is. Just prepare yourself. Okay. Another ugly. And I think I alluded to this in the good is that you get to, sell your expertise and your skills. But this is also on the flip side an ugly, because the better you are at being an expert, the harder it is to expand your team and gain leverage. And what I mean is, I always had this dream in my business, and this may not be your dream, but it might be to expand my team, to hire other consultants, to hire account managers that could work directly with my clients. And what I realized is because I had done such a good job, I guess, at being an expert and building a name for myself and building credibility and building a reputation, that those clients didn't want to work with anybody else but me, or when they were working with other people on my team, they expected to receive the same level of expertise and quality that I personally would provide. And it was a struggle teaching my team how to deliver things in the same way that CP would. And I realized that I had kind of created this monster in my clients. And I still to this day have clients that just say, will it be you? I only want to do this if it's you. And so I had to take a step back from my business model and realize that it was better suited for me as a independent consultant with a consulting firm to have a team that supported me in delivering the service to my client, because it didn't work out so well when they were delivering the service directly. It just didn't work out. Clients were not as happy. They were disappointed and they felt a little shafted because they didn't get to work with me directly. So now I've shifted my business model. My team supports me in delivering those services. So it still gives me leverage, but that is a big ugly. Like it was stressful for me to not think to myself, I'll just be able to sit back and never have to work with customers again. And I hated that too. So it didn't work out, but I learned, and you'll learn as well. It's a little bit of an ugly though. Another ugly that you got to consider is that if you don't work, you don't get paid. Big one. Big one. You ain't no PTO. Well, there is PTO once you are officially an employee of your business. But in the beginning, if you don't work, you don't get paid. And I oftentimes tell people that freedom and that flexibility that I have in my schedule ain't really a lot of freedom and flexibility, because if I take off, I've still got to make that up. Ain't nobody for me to pass off a chart to, or ain't nobody backing me up. Like I still have to get the work done. So if I take vacation, sometimes it's like I might take a week off, but when I come back, I'm working 16-hour days for that whole week to make up for that week I've been off. And because I recognize if I'm not out there delivering the service, doing the marketing and all that kind of good stuff, then the clients aren't going to come in, the revenue isn't going to come in. And now the organization has reached a level of expense that it has to come in. So yeah, if you don't work, you don't get paid. Ain't nobody giving you no paid time off, no paid vacation time, no paid sick time. It's a real thing. And it feels kind of ugly at times, but I guess it can also be pretty, but yeah, ugly. I would definitely say ugly. And my last and final ugly, and trust me, when I was putting this list together, y'all, I could have came up with probably 50 more, but I want to keep it light and focus on the big ones. The last ugly is that you will work 60 plus hours so that eventually you don't have to work 40. You will work long hours. As a consultant, as an entrepreneur, maybe it's a combination of doing both, but I work a lot of hours. And I try to keep myself focused on the fact that it's very important for me to step away and not work. But because it's my own business, because I am the expert in providing the solutions to my clients, I am always working, whether I'm at the office or not, 24/7, checking emails, responding to things, reading, researching, learning, keeping myself abreast of the latest in things, of the services that I deliver, certifications and trainings and meeting people and marketing and networking. It's a constant. And it's a constant because I am ambitious and I have a certain revenue target. I have a certain income target. I have a certain investment target that I need to reach and make. And maybe that's a part of the reason why, but I don't know anybody who is their own entrepreneur and a consultant that's successful that isn't working more than 40 hours a week. This is not a 9 to 5 kind of gig. It's not a punch in and punch out type of a thing. But when you think about it this way, and this is what I tell myself, people who make high 6-figure incomes, which most people that I know who are starting consulting companies want to make. They want to be over $100,000 in income, not revenue, income. People who make $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year don't work 40 hours a week. Not one. No CEOs that are making that kind of money. No, vice president of sales who work for other corporations who are making that kind of money. They're not working 40 hours a week. If you want to work 40 hours a week, then you want to make sure that you've adjusted your mindset to understanding you gonna make 40-hour-a-week money. And if you want to make more than 40-hour-a-week money, then you gonna work more than 40 hours. It's definitely an ugly, and you will over time incorporate things into your business and into your life, into your journey, so that you don't have to work while you're making money, which is kind of the place where I'm at, some automations and some residual income and all that kind of good stuff. But when you are starting your business from scratch and you are just starting out as a consultant, you are going to work more than 40 hours. Prepare yourself, and you're going to be upwards of 60 some week, 12-hour days, 16-hour days. That's okay. All right. It's still for you. And the best benefit about it is that it's not necessarily for someone else. So keep it moving, boo. It's an ugly, but it's worth it. So despite some of the bad and the ugly of starting a consulting business from scratch that I just told you about, there is so much more good, right? And I wouldn't change what I do for anything in the world. I love where I'm at in my career. Serving as an advisor and extra hand to both clients and fellow consultants and to entrepreneurs is my dream. And I enjoy the challenges that come along with it just as much as I enjoy the benefits. Those challenges have pushed me and continue to push me to step outside of my comfort zone and to grow, to be in a state of constant learning and growth, and to have impact on others and make a difference. And the truth is, I so look forward to what lies ahead for me as my business continues to grow and to evolve. And I am absolutely sure you will too. So, my love, you want more? If so, put yes CP in the comments below, and don't worry, I am going to give you more next week and every single Tuesday to come. So make sure that you subscribe in that bubble right next to me. And until next time, my loves, please stay safe out there. Bye-bye.